This is Sheffield Live on 93.2 FM, and this show is Communities Live with
Susie Casson
and with me, Andrew Tildesley, and joining us in the studio is Hendrika Stevens. Have I said your name right?
Yes, you have. It's
Hooray! Hendrika Stevens from the Antiques Quarter, Sheffield Antiques Quarter, is that the correct?
Yes, that's right. It's the Sheffield Antiques Quarter. For anybody who doesn't know, it's on the south side of the city, and we've got lots of lovely businesses.
So south side, where are we talking more or less?
Basically, so where London Road splits to Aberdale Road, so starting there where the Rood Shipyard is, it goes up to Bannerdale Road on Aberdale, and then it's also Broadfield Road and Queen's Chesterfield Road.
Mm-hmm. So a reasonably big stretch, but it's sort of close enough that you could walk around and...
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes from the moor, I guess.
And so how did it get the designation of Antiques Quarter, and what does it contain?
Well, we came together as a group of 21 businesses about 5 years ago, and that sort of spiralled beautifully out of control. We now have 60 businesses in the quarter.
Wow.
And so the themes are sort of vintage, retro, arts, crafts, antiques, salvage and artisan produce. Mm-hmm. And so it's a really nice area to sort of wander around and explore.
And what are some of the businesses in there that people might know, or ones they should know?
Well, the big antique centres, so Sheffield Antique Centre, the Healy Bank, Langton's, the Emporium, and we've got Vintage, and there's a beautiful new centre actually called Riley's, which is based very close to the OK Cafe on Aberdale.
Mm-hmm. And I think we've spoken to Strip the Willow before on this show.
Yeah, John Johnson, who runs a fabulous social enterprise. Obviously, that's about recycling, which a lot of the Antiques Quarter is about as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a great business.
Fantastic. And what's your personal involvement?
That's a question. Basically, I've been chair of the Antiques Quarter Group sort of over the last years, and so I'm now still sort of promoting the Antiques Quarter and pushing it forward. I'm also sort of involved in the community partnership, so representing the businesses when we're sort of talking about issues of community cohesion and antisocial behaviour. So there's lots of things that we obviously work as to draw visitors and interest to the quarter and to hold the quarter together. But then also we're looking at the community, because it's not just about the businesses, it's about sort of everybody who lives, works and plays in the area.
Fantastic. So. And you've come in specifically to talk about the Street Art Day this Sunday? Yeah,
we've got a fantastic Street Art Day, so it's all to do with our sort of signing the quarter, crowdfunding that we did a little while ago. Basically, people said when you get there, you don't quite know you're there. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we also have a lot of issues with sort of graffiti, and the area still looking a little bit downtrodden. So we wanted to do some things that sort of really put a local community stamp on the area, and a sort of an art stamp really to sort of glue it together. So we've organised, there's quite a few murals that have already gone up. So, for example, the big Joe Peel one on Hagler's Corner, and there's a beautiful peacock near Vintage. Mm-hmm. But this Street Art Day was to pull that together, and we've got about 35 projects on Sunday between 10 and 5-6 o'clock, with sort of workshops dotted around. There's a sort of lead being taken by an organisation called Smash Proof, which involves a street artist called Casper Carr, who's brought together some really good street artists in the city, sort of to include sort of Trick 9, Alert and many others. Mm-hmm. But we've also got Rocket and Faunographic, who are in the process of painting really big murals. One's close to the Aberdale Picture House, and then on the Sheffield Antique Centre it's a full sort of gable end. But we've also got interest sort of from Phlegm and Kid Acne, and hopefully they're going to appear. But on Sunday, it will be quite a good day to sort of walk around and explore some of the artwork and some of the sort of trails that we're putting together.
Fantastic. And for people that might not know, Phlegm's quite a big street artist. He was invited by a city in Canada recently to go and do street art there, and he's not a product of the human body that's just going to suddenly appear on the streets of...
There's a good chance he's not in the country. However, we were in touch with him some time ago, so we're so pretty confident that at some point he'll appear. I mean, there's one of his sort of murals in the area already, sort of near where the weir is. But basically, it's great to see these artists recognise that we're trying to pull things together in that community, and also that Sheffield, should see art as something really good to glue the city together, and it's about sort of independent and local, and sort of about the community putting a stamp on, really, which I think is amazing.
And is it sort of recognising also that the area is already filled with kind of artists and creatives? So that's an undercurrent, I guess, that it's nice to sort of fly the flag for.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the city itself is a really creative city, and I think, I mean, obviously we've got some amazing street art sort of scattered throughout the city, and it's a good reason for people to come and explore it. And the Antiques Quarter certainly is about local and independent business, and there's a lot of creative organisations. We've got sort of Frankly My Dear, who's a really great sort of craft gifts, as well as sort of local art based business and makers. So there's plenty of art involved in the Antiques Quarter, and also it's kind of something people who are looking at beautiful and interesting things and sort of have a bit of a heart for sort of recycling. I think that sort of fits in with the creative thing too. Yeah,
and it's something to draw people there, and then they stay to look at maybe antiques or something else they wouldn't have thought of. Are there arts trails as well within the Street Art Day?
Yeah, well, what we're doing is actually we're developing an art sort of trail, and in the end all this artwork will sort of go into a resource that will be online, which will be something that schools can use, because again we want to engage with the local schools, get them involved in projects, and then start using that using that as something. So for example, one of the trails we've got is a foxtrot trail, which is sort of a bit of an ironical fox hunt, because obviously fox hunting is horrific, but the idea is that we've got these graffitied sort of foxes around the area that can be spotted, and then children or families can then go to particular businesses and then they get a little badge. But basically it's sort of highlighting a bit of the plight of the urban fox, because obviously over these last years we've seen sort of a bit of spate of sort of poisoning of foxes and things like that. So that's a particularly nice element. But there's other things, like we're doing a geocaching, kind of tapping into the geocaching thing, which will mean that there are businesses that hold these geocache boxes that people have to discover by sort of sat-nav. I know that Instameet are doing a particular trail on that day, but most of the information will be on the Sheffield Antiques Quarter website and through the Facebook. But I think the day basically will have lots of sort of busyness, and it'll be just brilliant for people to come up and look at some of the artists working and get involved as well, because we're doing some workshops at the Aberdale Picture House. We're doing a little thing in the Healy Bath car park where we're doing Lego art and also a litter pick.
Slow that down. So what, you've got workshops in the Picture House?
So we've got a few. Well, we've got some demonstrations, and we've got some artists sort of doing little workshops in various different places. So near the pirate ship on Aberdale Road, there's Casper will be there with some of the street artists and young people. Anybody really who wants to get involved can also, have a go at sort of spray painting and perhaps taking away their own board. And the other thing is that we've got a lot of artists displaying work, so we've got a market licence for the whole quarter, so any of the artists sort of working there can sort of sell their work. So if people want to take home a little bit of Sheffield art, it's a good day to sort of do it.
And is there a timetable for the workshops and events, or is it just kind of ongoing all day?
There will be a timetable, and it will be on the Antiques Quarter website and also on the Facebook. But very much between sort of 10, things will sort of kick off from 10 o'clock, and there'll be various different things happening. Everybody will know what's happening. So when you arrive, if you sort of head for certain areas, you'll find out what's going on.
Fantastic. So maybe a good time to mention the website address.
SheffieldAntiquesQuarter.co.uk.
Easy as that.
And there is easy as that, and also the Facebook page is quite easy to find. But there is a little website that we're setting up, which is specifically about the art trail. But that's not quite. I haven't finished it.
That's coming together.
I'm getting there.
And am I right in thinking that the Antiques Quarter has been featured in the national press recently?
Oh yeah, we did actually get, because we've obviously had a lot of local exposure, because it has been something really good for the city in terms of creating a sort of new destination and a good reason for people to come to the city. But in terms of national, we haven't had quite so much, apart from the sort of antique sort of world. But yeah, lately we had an article in the Times on a Saturday, which was to do with the crowdfunding. So we're hoping now that we've got to a point where we've got sort of 60 businesses, that actually it is quite a nice story really about the city, and hopefully offering sort of a little bit of a unique sort of selling point really. So we're writing articles and making sure we get them out.
But has it taken a long time to get that recognition? So you got brown signs a few years ago, didn't you?
The brown signage came as part of the Signing the Quarter crowdfunding. That was a sort of in-kind donation by the council, which was brilliant because it meant we identified the sort of the starting points of the quarter in different places. So that's been absolutely vital. It also means everybody who sort of is within that area knows and recognises that they're part of something, which we're building on. And yeah, it has taken quite a lot of time because there hasn't been a huge wedge of money that has pushed it and supported it. But in a way, we're stronger for it because the businesses have had to work very closely together. And also the fact that our constitution has always said it's about the community, it's about the entire area and the environment. And I think when you sort of hold those things is close to heart, I think you build a stronger foundation. So it would have been nice to have a huge wedge of money, but actually we're sort of getting there. But if anybody's got any more, we can do some really great art.
But in the meantime, it's a great story of community building and what people can achieve working together.
I think so. It's about partnership, and I think that's and it's not always the easiest thing in the world. Anybody involved in community groups, which is what we've sort of operated as, from the beginning, knows that people have, their own ideas. And when you're running your own businesses, there's a reason you do that. That's because you like to see things done your way. So sometimes there's a bit of a clash, but in the end, the result is really positive. It's about partnership and collaboration.
So the Street Art Day is this Sunday. Do you have future ideas for other things to draw people in?
Well, that will be built on, so it's not just the end of the street art sort of thing at all. It's a trail that will be added to, and we hope, like I say, to engage with the schools. Also, there's been issues with part of the community partnership, issues with antisocial behaviour. We're trying to engage with some of the youth groups to, again, like the Onboard Skate Park, for example, and One Nation. We will try and work more and more on that, because quite clearly the youths in the area are bored senseless, which is partly why they hurl things about and graffiti. So actually, if they can engage in projects that are of interest to them, so the kind of street art that we're going to put on the walls, which may not appeal to everybody, but those young people are really important in this picture. Yeah. But can I just mention that we are collaborating with the Moor markets, and we are starting a pop-up vintage market on a monthly basis at the Moor markets, so filling the empty spaces, again, to support the traders and to bring something a little different, hopefully encourage the students in to realise that that's actually a really great resource and a really good place to go to shop, and those traders definitely need support and to bring something a little bit interesting into the Moor. And so the first one is the 24th of September.
Fantastic,
and we're filling lots of spaces, so come along.
Excellent. Another good story, because it's not just you protecting your one commercial area against everybody else's. It's you're working together with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, certainly within the Antiques Quarter, if you talk to the businesses, they won't talk about competition between one another. They'll talk about it being built on. And of course, they all, some of those businesses are still struggling because the climate, the sort of economic climate is still not brilliant. However, they realise it's a picture for everybody. And I think the same applies with collaborating with the council in terms of the Moor markets, which is a brilliant resource for the city. It gets a lot of negative press, and I think that's something that has to change. And I think that's putting an independent local stamp on that market will be really, really important, and hopefully we can help.
Excellent. And so can we have the details of the Street Art Day one more time? Yeah,
the Street Art Day is held within the whole of the Antiques Quarter, so it's 10 till 6 on Sunday, and there will be various sort of hot spots throughout the quarter. If you walk through from the Rood Shipyard up, you will see activity and things happening, but particularly next to the pirate ship, Smash Proof, which is Caspar Carr's sort of street art group, will be doing workshops for kids and young people to practice some street art themselves.
Excellent. And if people can't make it along, or they want to know more in advance, how can they find out more? How can they contact you?
If they look on the Antiques Quarter website, and that trail will be featured the art trail will be featured quite highly, and we will be putting together sort of specific sort of trails and paper-based things that people can print off to see what kind of things are there.
And that website is sheffieldAntiquesQuarter.co.uk.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for coming in, Hendrika.